Jankowski on another episode of Real Talk. Today I'm reviewing Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, and I know this came out a while ago, but it just came to Bloomington. You really can't deny that Wes Anderson is one of the most interesting, unique filmmakers in mainstream Hollywood today. I mean, he basically created his own genre of film. This movie, you can tell just by watching the trailer, is definitely made for all the cinephiles out there. He got an amazing cast: Bryan Cranston, Yoko Ono, Greta Gerwig, and Bill Murray. Just an amazing all-star cast. Isle of Dogs is very clearly a quirky movie. I really hate the word quirky. Quirky films have become their own genre, like that is mainstream Hollywood indie films, but quirky definitely sells. This film is about Megasaki City. Because of an outbreak of canine flu and snout fever, all of the dogs have been banished to Trash Island. The current mayor already hated dogs, so banishing them was not hard for him. He even banished one of his own dogs, Spots, who young Atari goes to Trash Island to try and retrieve. I honestly can't imagine directing a stop-motion film. The patience you have to have and the attention to detail is overwhelming, and it really just gives you a respect for this film going into it. Watching the behind the scenes for this movie is so interesting. I mean, imagine making a set that is 10 times smaller than a normal set. I mean, every detail is that much more important. All of Wes Anderson's movies are a visual delight, and this movie definitely lives up to the hype. Obviously, when you see that Wes Anderson is making another movie, everybody that is obsessed with him gets really excited, and they expect a lot of things from this movie. A lot of the typical Anderson tropes are very apparent here. We have a lot of split screen edits. There are all male protagonists. I mean, there's literally 3 female dogs. One of these dogs is just a love interest. The other is just pregnant with one of the main dog's puppies. And the other is able to read the TV. Like, she understands what's going on television. So obviously these roles aren't very important. They don't really add to the narrative. It just kind of shows this reoccurring trope. Wes Anderson really loves male protagonists. Symmetry on symmetry on symmetry. Wes Anderson loves symmetry. There are so many shots that are so beautifully executed and so visually pleasing. Every shot is perfectly executed and balanced really well. For me, I felt like the pacing had some issues just because there were some really lengthy flashbacks, and it kind of made for some confusing and uneven sequences. For me, the biggest parallel that I noticed within this movie is the homelessness epidemic in America. One second you're such a huge part of society, and then the next second you're basically exiled. This theme of getting rid of a problem before even trying to solve it is very apparent in this movie, and unfortunately a very big theme in the real world. It is impossible to talk about Isle of Dogs without talking about cultural appropriation. This is a huge problem in Hollywood. I felt like Wes Anderson could have been more thoughtful in the way he displayed Japanese culture. He kind of used it as more of a fluffer for white audiences rather than really making it an important part of the film. It was really just there to make white audiences feel like they were even more cultured just by going to see this movie, but it was actually made for them in the first place. Sometimes he uses an on-screen translator that goes over the character that is speaking Japanese. Since we are always experiencing their point of view through someone else, it makes their character and what they're actually saying feel a lot less important. Another huge problem in Hollywood is whitewashing, and there was definitely a lot of whitewashing in this film. His choice to use a all-star cast for all of the dog characters and have them all speak English made English-speaking audiences have a better connection to the dogs rather than the human characters. I'm glad he chose to use the Japanese language in at least some of the film, but it felt like having all of the dogs speak English was kind of a cop-out, and it was just a way to have some familiar star power be the backbone of this movie, so it was more familiar to the white audience that it was made for. I personally love it when animated films are made for adults. It makes it okay to enjoy something that feels so childlike. Overall, despite my few discrepancies, I really enjoyed Isle of Dogs. I think it's totally worth seeing in theaters. So much hard work was put into it. I rate Isle of Dogs a 4 out of 5. Definitely go see it. And for all you cinephiles out there, I'm really glad this finally came out. I'm sure you've been waiting with bated breath. This has been Kathryn Jankowski on another episode of Real Talk. I'll see you back next week for another movie review.